Okay, so welcome everyone to today's lesson. Okay, we are looking at the introduction to physiology. Okay, so this is the first topic in your biology course for second semester. Okay, so we start with the introduction to physiology, and in this lesson we are going to focus on these few objectives that I've outlined here. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss all of this today. Okay, but by the end of this topic, okay, you are supposed to know all these things that I've listed here. So today I'm going to focus mostly on the definition of what physiology is, the characteristics, and what the cell is, what the function of the cells are. Okay, and then in the other lessons that will follow, we are going to look at the tissues and all that. Okay, so in this lesson, we are going to define physiology. Okay, and then we are going to describe what life is using its characteristics. Okay, and then we'll also define a cell and list out some of the general functions of the what of the cell. Okay, so that's what we are going to do in this lesson. Okay, so the first one there is what is physiology there, the one that you can see on your board there. Okay, so we have the definition there that I've put. Okay, so we are saying physiology is just the study of how things happened, okay, or how things take place in a living what organism. Okay, so for you to be able to talk, okay, for you to be able to see, for you to be able to digest the food that you eat, okay, how all that happens is what describes what physiology. Okay, so that's what we are going to look at today. Okay, all right, so that's what physiology is, and then we can look at the definition of a cell. Okay, so according to these slides that I have here, we can say the foundation of all functions of life and thus all the living organisms is the cell. Okay, so you can basically define this cell as the smallest living unit, okay, that perform all the necessary processes that are required for what? For life. Okay, so a cell is very important because without a cell, even us wouldn't be what? We wouldn't be here. Okay, so the cell is very, very important. Okay, so it's just um, the smallest living unit, okay, that perform all the necessary functions, okay, or processes that are needed for what? For life. Okay, so that's what a cell is. And then the important thing to talk about after a cell is what we call as the characteristics of what? Life. Okay, so the characteristics of life are very important. Okay, so here are my slides notes. Okay, so here I was saying life can be defined. Okay, life cannot be defined because we don't have a single definition of what life is. Okay, or if I were to ask you guys what is life, okay, you wouldn't have a single definition of what life is. Some would say it's ability to talk, some would say ability to eat, okay, all those things. Okay, so life on its own does not have a what? A definition. It cannot be defined, but the characteristics of life can. Okay, so we can observe the characteristics and then we can what? We can describe them. Okay, so I know back in G12 you learned these characteristics. Okay, yeah, that famous mnemonic, I don't know if it's Mr. Griffic, Mr. Griffin, something like that. Okay, that we used to remember these characteristics of life. Okay, so in this lesson we are going to talk about those characteristics of life again. Okay, so here have the characteristics of life there. Okay, so the first one, I'll explain each of them. Okay, so the first one is growth. Okay, so if you are claiming that a living organism has life, okay, then that living organism should possess what? Growth, or should show growth. Okay, so this growth here is just an increase in size. Okay, so the growth is an increase in size. So we can see it clearly in ourselves. We were once small children, but now we've grown. We are even at the university. We want to become doctors, we want to become nurses, all that. Okay, so it's because of this growth that we've reached here. We have increased in what? Size. So this increase in size is what we call what? Growth. Okay, so I have a question for you. So what would happen if, for example, okay, what would happen if our cells stop dividing? Okay, because this growth here is a result of what? Cell division. So remember, you are just once a cell. Okay, so you had a cell from your mom, a cell from your dad, and then these combined, they formed one cell, and then this one cell now started dividing. Okay, it divides into all these numerous cells that are making up you today. Okay, so what would happen if the cell stopped dividing? It means there would be no growth. Okay, because growth is a result of what? Cell division. Okay, so that's what I can say about growth. And then now let's look at reproduction. Okay, so if we claim that some organism has life, okay, then that organism should have the ability to create new cells or new what? Organisms, okay, of its likeness. Okay, so humans, you have children who are also humans. Okay, if it's monkeys, they will have monkeys just like that. Okay, so this reproduction here is a very important characteristics of life. Okay, so any living organism should be able to reproduce, okay, a photocopy of itself. Okay, so we can also define this reproduction in this form, like for example when you maybe you scrap your screen, okay, new skin cells, okay, form to heal that wound. Okay, so maybe you hurt yourself, okay, and that's all that blood. So there will be cells that will be produced through this what? Reproduction, and then those cells will come and replace those dead cells that have what? Been destroyed, and your wound will heal. Okay, all right, so we now look at respiration. Okay, so this here is just ability to produce or to reproduce. Okay, ability to reproduce a copy, to produce a copy of an organism's what? Liking. And then the third characteristics of life is what? Life. Respiration, I mean. Okay, so this respiration is very important, okay, for bringing in the oxygen in our bodies, okay, and then taking it out as carbon dioxide. Okay, so this respiration here is what? Very important. Okay, so you can say respiration is just the process. Okay, it has two definitions. Okay, so there's that definition for breathing in, breathing out, that's respiration, and then there's another one, okay, which is the breakdown of glucose, right? We know that. So we know that this respiration here has two definitions in biology. So okay, so if we consider the breaking down of glucose, we can say it's the process of breaking down this glucose, okay, by what? Using oxygen to produce energy. Okay, so that energy will give you the ability to even produce your offspring, the ability for the cells to increase in size, okay, to make you grow. Okay, so that's what respiration what is. Okay, so I would give an example here. For example, if you do the exercise, okay, so after exercising, your cells will need to make more oxygen, okay, to make energy, which is why you breathe heavily, like you if you are if you are from running, okay, you'll be that okay, why is that? Because your cells need more oxygen. Okay, so that's an example of respiration. Okay, so we can say the breathing in here, okay, the breathing in and breathing out, or we can say the breaking down. Okay, so the breakdown of glucose. Okay, so guys, if you have any questions on what I'm explaining, please feel free to what to ask. Okay, then the next characteristic is sensitivity. Okay, so as long as something is a living thing, then it should have what? Sensitivity. Okay, it should be able to detect. Okay, so this is detecting. Should be able to detect the, okay, I'm supposed to write uh, the T first there. Okay, so should be able to detect. So detect, okay, or respond to stimuli. Okay, so no wonder a dead person will, if you call them, they won't answer. Okay, or they won't hear you. Okay, why? Because they do not have this sensitivity. Okay, so any living organism will have that sensitivity. Okay, no wonder if you see a mouse and it sees you, it will to sense the danger and it will run away. Okay, so any living organism there has what? Sensitivity. Another example is when you touch something hot. Okay, so if you get your hand, you touch something hot. Okay, it will make your hand will definitely pull away from that hot object. Okay, why? Because you're sensitive to the change in the temperature. Okay, so your nerve cells will be able to respond to the heat. As a result, you have that withdrawal. Okay, to protect yourself. And then the other one is excretion. So this excretion here is just the removal of waste. Okay, removal of waste. Okay, so someone is asking to record the meeting. I'm recording, guys. I'll share the video with you. Okay, you don't need to record. So removal of waste is another characteristics of what? Life. Okay, so what do we mean? Okay, we're just removing the waste product. So when you breathe in oxygen, the air that you need, after it works, okay, it is removed as what? CO2, which is carbon dioxide. Okay, so excretion is very important. So imagine a situation where someone is not able to remove the waste products. Okay, so what will happen? So those waste products will accumulate. Okay, they will accumulate inside you and then they will become toxic and they can cause health complications to your body. Okay, so excretion is a very important what characteristic of life. Okay, some other examples we can say when it's hot. Okay, you can cool your body up by this excretion in forms of sweat. Okay, you'll be sweating and then you have water leaving your body like that. Okay, so excretion, very important characteristic of life. And then the other one, which is the second last one, is what? Nutrition. So as long as a thing is a living thing, it has to eat, guys. Okay, otherwise it won't survive. The cells will be starved of the food. They won't be able to have the energy to do anything. Okay, so nutrition is a very important characteristics. Okay, so this nutrition here is taking in, okay, say taking in and utilizing nutrients. Okay, taking in and utilizing nutrients. Okay, so whatever you eat, better be it a mango, okay, you eat shima, you eat whatever, okay, that's a very important characteristic of life. Okay, no wonder when you don't eat, you just feel like we want to faint or something like that. Okay, and then the last one is locomotion. So locomotion is a very important characteristic of life. Why? Because through this locomotion, okay, we'll be able to move. Okay, we'll be able to move to go and get food, to go and do various stuff. Okay, so locomotion, we can define it as the movement. Okay, so this is the movement from one place to another. Okay, so from one place to another there. Okay, so this locomotion does not only happen at organism level, it can also happen at cellular level. Okay, so for example, during reproduction, okay, the sperms will move to go and fertilize the ovum in the female. Okay, so they move by what? Locomotion. Okay, so you see that without this locomotion we wouldn't be even be born. Okay, because the sperm wouldn't have moved to go and fertilize that egg. Okay, so locomotion is a very important characteristic of life. Okay, so I've explained all these 7 here. Now I have a question for you. So which one do you think is the most important characteristic of life? Which one do you think is the most important? Hello guys, which one do you think is the most important?
Respiration.
You think respiration is important?
Nutrition, I think.
Nutrition. Okay, so the answer is there is none which is more important than the other. Okay, we need them all. Okay, we need them all. So there is none which is more important. So these 7 here are equally important. Okay, because without them, or if one of them is not there, then that will not be considered as life. Okay, so they are equally important. There's none which is more important than the other. Okay, so let's now move to the levels of organization. And on the levels of organization, I'm specifically going to explain about cells. Okay, and then tissue, other stuff later. So levels of organization in a multicellular what organism. Okay, so the first level is what we call as the atoms and elements. Okay, so we know what atoms are from our chemistry, right? So atoms are like oxygen, hydrogen. Okay, so these they just combine to form molecules like water that are essential for what? For life. Okay, so these atoms and these elements will combine. Okay, and when they combine, they are going to come up with what? These cells here. Okay, and then we know that the cell is just the basic unit of life. Okay, so basic unit of life, that's the cell. It's the smallest living entity. Okay, so once these atoms form these cells, okay, the cells will combine, okay, and they will form what? Tissues. Okay, so these tissues here are just like a bigger group of what? Cells. So if you have maybe 2 cells, 3 cells, or maybe 5 cells, okay, so these are 5 cells here, and then these here combine like that. Okay, they combine together. What they are going to form there will be called a what? A tissue. So a tissue will be a what? A group of cells. Okay, so examples of tissues in our body, we have blood, we have the muscle tissue, the nerve tissue. Okay, so those are some of the examples of the tissues. So they're just a group of cells. Okay, so group of similar cells that are working together. Okay, so for example, the muscle tissue, I mean, is going to help us in the movement. Okay, so later on you are going to learn in detail in this course. Okay, and if you are majoring into medicine, okay, when you major into your medicine, you are even going to learn more details about how these tissues help in the movement. Okay, and then when these tissues combine, okay, they form what? Organs. Okay, so organs are just structures made of different tissues performing specific what? Functions. Okay, so we can say this is just a group of tissues. A group of tissues. And this group of tissues, for example, the organ, they will perform a specific what? Function. Okay, so an example of an organ is the heart. Okay, so the heart will just pump blood um, around the body. Okay, and then we have an organ such as the stomach is going to what? To help in the digestion of food. So you have all those uh, jejunum, okay, the duodenum in the stomach, so they will help out in the digestion of the what? The food. And then now these organs, when they combine, okay, so you have the heart, the stomach, the kidneys, okay, the pancreas, all these organs combine, they form what we call as what? An organ. I mean, an organ system. Okay, they form what we call as an organ system. So for example, of an organ system, maybe we can say the digestive system. Okay, so we can mention the organs like the mouth, um, the tongue, okay, the stomach, the esophagus. All those organs are going to combine to form a system. So for example, like the digestion system. So the digestion system, you have your mouth, your tongue, okay, you have your esophagus, you have your stomach. All those things are going to combine to form a what? The organ system. Okay, and then um, this organ system, okay, when you combine them, they form what we call as a what? An organism. Okay, so this organism will just consist of many systems. So for example, in our body, okay, we have a lot of what? Systems. We have the cardiovascular system. You are going to learn it. I don't think you are going to learn the digestion system unless those will be measuring in medicine. You are going to learn it later. Okay. We have the respiratory system. Okay. We have a lot of systems. So when those systems combine, they form what we call as an organism, such as human beings. Okay. All right, so that's it about the levels of organization of this multicellular what? Organism. Okay, so any questions there before we look at some specialized cells and some function of the cells, then we call it a day. So any questions there? Okay, no questions means I'll move. Okay, so the levels of structure here, we have a diagram that explains it. Okay, so you can also look at this diagram. So we have the cell level, the cells combine to form a tissue, the tissue will form an organ, the organs will form the organ system, and finally the organ system will form the what? The organism. Okay, so you can see the illustration there very clearly. Okay, so now let's look at cell. Okay, so we said the cells or the cell are just the basic unit what of all living things. Okay, the cells are just basic unit of all living things, and they consist mainly, okay, of a cell membrane, okay, um, and an internal fluid called the what? A cytoplasm, a cytosol. Okay, right. So this cytosol is found in the cytoplasm. Okay, and then this cytosol here is just a mixture, guys, of water, of salts, of small organic molecules and some micromolecules like the carbohydrates, the lipids, the proteins. Okay, that's what this cytosol here is. Just a combination of those water, salts, small organic molecules, and the what? The micromolecules. So approximately, okay, an adult human, okay, is assumed to have about 100 billion cells. So you can imagine how many cells you have in your body. Okay, about 100 billion. There are a lot of cells. Okay, and the funny thing is that all these cells will have a specific function. Okay, there can be 100 billion, but each of them will have a specific function. Okay, so meaning what? Meaning that each cell is equally important. Okay, because if we remove one of those cells, it means you stop functioning properly. Okay, you stop functioning properly. So all the cells are equally important, and in number they're about 100 billion. That's a lot. Okay, that's a lot of cells. Okay, all right, and then we move to talk about example of cells. Okay, so this here, when you are majoring into medicine, it's a topic on its own. Okay, you look at the nerve tissue, you learn everything about the nervous system. Okay, you learn everything if you're doing medicine. I think even those who are doing some of these healthy uh, related programs like pharmacy, you have is it uh, biomedical science. Okay, they also do this. So let's look at some of these specialized cells. So the first one is the nerve cell. Okay, so these nerve cells are found in the nervous system. Okay, so their function is to process and transmit information. Okay, So they will process and they'll transmit information. So for you to see what is on your screen there, it's because of what? The nerve cells. So they are able to see there, and then they'll send signals to the brain to tell you, oh, you are looking at a screen and there's this weird examples in specialized cells. Okay, so the nerve cells are at work. Okay, so how do they do that? They use chemical and some electrical impulses, okay, or synapses, okay, to send signals throughout the body. Okay, so they are very important for transmitting and processing what? Information. Okay, and then another specialized cell is what we call as the epithelial cells. Okay, so the epithelial cells are mostly found in the lining, okay, of different systems of the body. Okay, so um, the specialized function of these epithelial cells, okay, will include secretion, absorption, protection, uh, transcellular transport, okay, sensation detection, and some selective permeability. Okay, so what do we mean by secretion, absorption, protection? So when, for example, when you go into the digestive system, okay, well, when you eat that food, when it goes in the stomach, so in that stomach, um, some fluids, okay, will be produced. So you have hydrochloric acid that is produced in the stomach. Okay, so these specialized cells are the ones that are going to secrete or produce this what? Hydrochloric acid in your stomach. So that hydrochloric acid will be responsible for neutralizing any uh, basic thing that you have in your stomach. Okay, and then absorption, they will also help. So they will be in the lining of the stomach. So if this is the stomach like that, in the lining of this stomach there will be epithelial cells, and these epithelial cells will be helping in absorbing, okay, the nutrients that you are getting from the food. Okay, so for those nutrients to go into the blood, okay, it will be these epithelial cells that will be at work. And then they also protect um, some linings. Okay, they will protect your linings from harsh. Let's say if you have a lot of hydrochloric acid in your stomach. Okay, so this is a common question that I most encounter. Okay, so why is it that when you get this hydrochloric acid, okay, and then you just pour it on a cloth, the cloth will burn, right? But it is present in our stomach. Okay, well, how is that possible? Why don't we get burnt in the stomach? Okay, it's because of these epithelial cells here. Okay, they will help protect the lining of the stomach from too much what? Hydrochloric acid, and the result won't be burnt. Okay, so God is great, guys. Imagine we have hydrochloric acid in our stomach. Okay, that's just a miracle. Okay, so this here happens because of these epithelial cells. Okay, and then other specialized cells, we can talk about the exocrine cells. Okay, so these they secrete products through ducts such as the mucus, okay, the sweat, and some digestive enzymes, okay, are secreted by what? These exocrine what? Glands. Okay, and the products of these cells go directly to the target organs by these ducts here. Okay, so any questions there, guys, on what I've explained on the specialized cells? Okay, if there are no questions, I'll move. Okay, so from specialized cells, we also have what we call as um, the endocrine. Okay, we also have what we call as the endocrine what? Glands. Okay, so these endocrine glands, um, okay, so these endocrine glands, they secrete their products directly into the bloodstream. Remember, the exocrine were secreting into the ducts, and then the ducts would take to the target organ. But when you look at these endocrine glands, okay, they will secrete directly into the what? The bloodstream. Okay, so the products of these endocrine cells go throughout the body in the bloodstream, okay, but can act on specific receptors on the cells of their target what? Organs. Okay, so another specialized cell is the blood cells, okay, the red blood cells. Even the white blood cells are specialized cells. Okay, so what do the blood cells do? especially these red blood cells. Okay, they collect oxygen in the lungs. Okay, and then they deliver it uh, through the blood to the body tissues. Okay, so that's the work of these blood cells. Okay, and then what about the white blood cells? So various types of these white blood cells, they help the body to fight infections. Okay, they help the body to find infections and they eliminate foreign objects. Okay, detected by the what? The immune system. Okay, so that's it about the specialized cells. Okay, and then we can look at the basic functions now. Okay, so the basic functions of the what? The cells. So I'm going to end here. Okay, so let me just explain some of them. So the first one we are saying the first function of a cell is sensing and responding to changes in the surrounding and what? Environment. Okay, so this is very true here. Okay, so because of the cells will be able to sense, okay, and respond to changes in the what? In the surrounding. So for example, when it's hot, okay, you'll be able to tell using the cells in your skin. Okay, if you touch something hot, you'll be able to sense that, oh, okay, this temperature is hot. Okay, so that is some of the function of what? Of a cell. Okay, and then we can also talk about material exchange. Okay, so material exchange is also one of the important functions of the cell. So exchange of materials or material exchange between the cells themselves and the cells and its surrounding what? Environment. Okay, so for example, these cells they can absorb, okay, glucose for energy, and then they can expel what? Carbon dioxide as a waste. Okay, right. So they obtain also nutrients and oxygen from the environment. Okay, so when you breathe, when you eat, okay, those cells in the stomach will be able to what? Extract those nutrients from the what? The food, and then they'll go into your bloodstream. Okay, and then another function is that they eliminate carbon dioxide. You'll be able to breathe this carbon dioxide out of your body, out of your lungs. Okay, so how does that happen? Okay, this is all possible because of the cell. Okay, so for you to breathe out this carbon dioxide, it's all because of the cell at cellular level. So you are going to learn in your uh in your is it respiratory system. Okay, you are going to learn that you have the alveoli like that in the lungs, and then there will be exchange there of the carbon dioxide and the oxygen. Okay, and then this oxygen will come out and you breathe it out like that. Okay, so all that is a function of what? The cells. Okay, and then another function. Okay, another function we can talk about. They perform chemical reactions that provide energy for the cell. Okay, so they're involved in chemical reaction. So examples, we have respiration in muscles, okay, that powers movement. So for you to move, there's that respiration that has to take place in the what? The muscles. Okay, and then the other one, we can talk about what? Synthesis. Okay, we can talk about synthesis. So they synthesize needed cellular what? Components. Okay, so for example, I can give example of the liver cell. Okay, so this liver here, what will it produce? Okay, the cells of the liver, okay, they will produce um, enzymes. Okay, they will produce some certain enzymes, and these enzymes are going to help in the breakdown of toxins. Okay, so you may have some toxins in your body. So the liver, through its cells, are going to produce these enzymes, and then these enzymes are going to break down what? These toxins. Okay. All right. So that's it for this class. Unless you guys have some questions or you have some additions on what you think are some of the basic functions of a cell, you are free to contribute. Okay, so what do you think, guys? What other cell functions do you know? What other cell functions do you know? Okay, no contributions. All right. So next time we are going to start from our cell surfaces. Okay. So these cell surfaces are just mechanisms that help the cell to get the nutrients, okay, to do the transportation between the cells, between the environment. We are going to learn about these cell surfaces. Okay, so I'm going to share these notes with you so that those who want to read in advance can do so. Okay, so if there are no questions, I'm going to end here. Thank you so much for attending the lessons, and we continue with them tomorrow. So have a blessed night, guys.